Hey, Pretentious Engineer here. I know you didn't ask, but today I want to talk about the wonders and horrors of making assumptions. So, this is your weekly one on one where I tackle some of your most challenging questions concerning engineering, global leadership, life in Japan, and more. And this video podcast is coming from my blog that I wrote actually a couple months ago, but I'm trying to up it into video format. I was also gone for a while because I had this little guy, Akio. He's pretty great, so he may wake up during the video, but we'll see. So, anyway. Today, I'd like to offer you a reflection on assumptions and why you should be weary of them in your career. It was one of my lazier, simpler TikToks that got me into trouble. Now, this isn't the first time I've ever triggered the internet, but most of the time, that is a willful choice when I characterize the pretentious engineer. One day, I found a video that looked like a giant 3D printing architecture used to manipulate a concrete pouring nozzle. This marvelous invention was pouring concrete. Well, actually, it was more like smearing frosting on a cake, one layer at a time, to build walls. The video claimed that this was the future of home construction, and the comments were equally enthusiastic. It was at this moment that I made a dangerous assumption. I didn't really see the future potential of this concept from a cost and maintenance perspective. I made a zero effort, zero research TikTok sharing some snarky doubt about the concept. Throwing rocks at what I thought were glass houses. Well, it didn't take long for the construction community to light me up in the comments. Tons of professional framers and concrete finishers duetted my content, highlighting my severe lack of intelligence. My video went viral in a suboptimal way, gaining 1.1 million views and heaping on the shame. Now, on most days, I actually try to make half decent content that provides some value. That just wasn't my day. We've all been burned by misplaced assumptions, and I'd like to share a few of my own. For those of you who don't know, I work on robotic surgical technology for Johnson & Johnson. I've spent the last decade advancing medtech innovation as a design engineer, robotics controls engineer, and a systems engineer within the medical. I'm reading old notes. Within medical device, we have that sentence ended so abruptly. Within medical device, we have stringent design and testing processes that ensure that commercialized solutions advance healing, not harm. That said, there is always a risk that something unforeseen can occur. One of my favorite roles involved owning risks and requirement cascade for a family of robotic surgical tools. So basically, we're looking at where a robotic tool interfaces with a robotic system across the design, the software, the electronics, and trying to identify all the risks. There's a common risk management tool called FEMA or FMEA, which stands for Failure Modes Effects Analysis. We can then put various letters in front of FEMA to denote what kind of failures we're interested in, such as D for design, or U for user, S for system, SW for software, etc. As a systems engineer, I owned interactions between the DFMEA, UFMEA, SFMEA, and SWSFMEA. Oh gosh, basically all the FMEAs. So I lived in spreadsheets. That was a fun season of life. The process was pretty simple. Say we had some robotic tool that was able to seal a blood vessel through some generalized, undisclosed means. We may know that one factor that leads to successful sealing is the amount of closure force provided on the vessel. That said, there are many factors that can positively and negatively impact the closure force nominal value and its respective variation. So here's a couple generalized factors. Wow, I spent a lot of time on this blog. The amount of force and torque provided by a robotic interface to the device, if in force control, the rotational positional accuracy provided by the robotic interface to the device, if in position control, mechanical advantage present in the device. That's just how mechanisms shift vectors of load. So basically, you know what a mechanical advantage is. I don't need to explain that. Maybe you don't. I don't know. It's physics 101. Friction losses present within the device and across the robotic interface, motor controller stability, so how well a motor can actually control a given output, variability of the tissue pushing back on the system, and then a user's ability to command the robot to full closure versus partially closed. So the user has to perceive, am I trying to fully close this device or partially, and how much force goes out to the given tissue. And the list could go on and on from system to subsystem to component. It can continue to cascade. Don't worry, we're going to get to the fun application from your side. I decided to be a nerd with this posting. So from an FMEA perspective, in the event the closure force fails, the effect would be that said vessel seal may fail to be hemostatic and start bleeding. Hemostatic just means it's cut and stopped the bleeding. This would be a high severity to the patient, but luckily there is still the A in FMEA called analysis. Note, you may have just seen me use the word luckily. There's no luck in engineering. I just felt the clarification was important. I'm such a jerk. Okay. Um, so snarky. Anyways, based on the probability of the failure occurring and the severity, we could calculate the risk of this failure mode. For higher level risks, we would have more stringent requirements on various subsystems, as well as design verification testing to prove the safety for the patient. So as you have a lot of things interacting with one another, you can choose which level you test it at, either individual components or how the components interact, which is like a system. Based on different severity levels, we have different levels of requirements, different testing, so that when we launch a robot, we prove that it's safe. That's all the rigor behind it. Just turning it into normal terms for y'all. Now, this all sounds great, but engineers don't operate in an ideal world with frictionless planes and linear equations. Or some do, but they're probably not working on cool stuff. Anyway, that one mechanism interfaces with another. Anywhere that one mechanism interfaces with another system, there is room for chaos or Murphy to ruin the day. My job as a systems engineer was to work across design, clinical, marketing, industrial design, and human factors, quality, systems, and other engineering groups to define and challenge the assumptions associated with every FMEA line. Literally hundreds of lines in a spreadsheet. In many ways, I functioned more as a wizard as I attempted to predict the future based on limited data. There's also this great meme that you obviously can't see that I can see, where it's got an engineer that looks like Gandalf, and it says, engineer, someone who does precision guesswork based on unreliable data provided by those of questionable knowledge. See also wizard or magician. That's my whole life. That's great. Anyway, the reality is that an FMEA is a living document, as are its respective requirements. Every line is based on assumptions, data, engineering rationale, magic. When things fail in various engineering builds, productions, or even in the field, all engineers circle around the failure and challenge the assumptions. It's really a beautiful process that is sacrificially and diligently completed for the sake of the patients we serve. It's hard, uncertain, and at times a soft science. It's a process I delighted in, even as it gave me a mental hernia. But here's the left turn you weren't ready for. What assumptions are you making in your future career or development? You can spend years following one career assumption just to get burnt by it in the end. For instance, I have lots of sheets. Okay. For instance, I spent 5 years of my career developing a BLA for a robotic surgical system. I took BLA from front end, pre-concept selection, all the way to design verification ready, which is what you do right before you launch a product. My assumption that I was going to stay with BLA until it launched, and then move into a role that better suited me. Well, BLA was delayed, canceled, resuscitated, and finally killed for now over the last 3 years. Now it's over the last 5 to 6 years. That's a real thing that happened to me. I was on a project. I put all my career development on launching that project. And there are decisions that occur outside my level of influence that impact that project, killed it, or canceled, delayed it, canceled it, resuscitated it, and killed it. And if I had held on to that, it would have been very bad. So let's actually see what I wrote. So this there we go. This career assumption almost cost me my rotation in systems engineering, as well as my long-term assignment in Japan. This assumption was also incredibly dangerous because it put hope in something completely out of my control. And hope, like luck, is not a plan. This might sound crazy and a tad nerdy, but you should consider doing an FMEA for your own career adventure. Oh, he's smiling. Oh my God. He's new. New babies don't know how to smile. It's just like a muscle twitch. Eventually, the smiles are real. But nope, now he's frowning. See, it was just a twitch. So here are two examples. Let's say you're a junior in college about to graduate with a degree in computer science. Aspirationally, you're really interested in doing your own startup, but you're not sure if you should play it safe and get a standard job. So the failure mode, so we're going to do an FMEA. There's 4 letters, there's 4 sections. I made it 5 letters. I don't know why I did that. So the failure mode, F, if you don't pursue the startup now, then you never will. The effect, E, you miss out on leading the next shift in technology as an entrepreneur. S for severity, FMEA. We missed the mode. I broke the whole template. Anyway, the severity, moderate, I guess that's M, MS. S, S is moderate for severity. For your dreams and aspirations perspective, as well as financially, right? Because like you're not really pursuing your ultimate dream of starting a startup. And P, the probability is low to moderate, and here's why. And then we get to the assumptions, which is A, which actually in FMEA, the M, failure modes, effects, analysis. So severity and probability are actually part of the A, which is the analysis. And identifying the assumptions is also part of the analysis. And then you normally have corrective action. Doesn't perfectly follow an FEMEA. Gosh, who's the bozo that wrote this thing? Oh, I did. Okay. Assumptions. You're assuming that you can only work, or you can only be an entrepreneur when you're young, single, don't have kids, and can work crazy hours. You're also assuming that there is nothing that you will learn in a safe industry job that would then apply to your future startup. During my time working in robotic surgery, I worked with many members of Verb Surgical, which was a Johnson & Johnson and Google Alphabet startup. Many of our colleagues were older, wickedly smart, and actively raising families in Silicon Valley. I remember, this is me getting off script, like I remember being in college, recruiters coming in and they're like, if you want to be an entrepreneur and an engineer, like you gotta just go and start your thing before you have a family, before it's hard. And it's like, that's just not true. Like some of the best people I worked with were well mature in their career, had moved towards the Bay, they were raising families, and they had more experience in larger industries before moving into startups. So again, you have to challenge those assumptions. This next one's fun because it has multiple analyses. Okay. So let's say you've been working at the same, this is example 2. Let's say you've been working at the same company for 5 years and you've been holding out for a promotion or raise, assuming you successfully launch the project that you're on. This is actually a case study from a friend that I have. A historic case study. So this one has multiple failure modes of various severities, and this is where like the FMEA would be cool because you could cascade it. Failure mode 1, after 5 years, you launch the product, but don't get the promotion or raise. So you're assuming if you stayed with the project, did all the right things, the promotion, the raise should follow the success of the project. Failure mode 2, after 5 years, your skills aren't appropriately developed because you didn't rotate across the business. You hung on for the promotion and raise, but you atrophied your skill set. Failure mode 3, after 5 years, you get the promotion, but you end up pigeonholed as a blank subject matter expert, making it difficult for you to rotate to other things. So sometimes when you're successful in one thing, the business locks you in that thing, and you can't shift to other areas to grow and develop and lead. These perceptions of success box you, if that makes sense. So let's look through the effects. So effect number 1 in severity, all linked to the first failure, which again was after 5 years, you launch the product, but you don't get the promotion or raise. So the effect, you're faced with either being stuck at your current pay or moving elsewhere, which is hard to move for some people. Severity, it's moderate. You're navigating financial instability. This occurred to me as well in the past. And then your probability, it's likely this happens to people all the time. It's a common pitfall. I've also fallen into it where we hold on to something we think if we do a good job, we'll be advanced. And that's just not what corporate America or corporate anything is really incentivized to do. All right, so let's look at the second situation. The second situation is after 5 years, your skills aren't appropriate developed because you didn't rotate across the business. And I guess we'll assume that you got the promotion, maybe, but you atrophied your skills. Anyway, the effects. You have limited opportunities internally and externally because you've stifled your potential. The severity is actually high. It's challenging to recover from because you kind of let yourself limp along and haven't learned anything over 5 years. And then the probability is also likely, as you'll probably stay focused on what is project critical or what will get you seen and recognized and advanced. You're going to neglect your own personal development in pursuit of that promotion. If you make success the promotion and the pay level, you're going to orient your work towards success on external facing things and not on internal development. I tend to bias things the other way and trust that the process catches up. There's also risks with how I do it. We could do another FMEA on it, but that's the probability of failure. So the third one is after 5 years, you get the promotion, but you end up pigeonholed as a blank subject matter, so you can't rotate to other stuff. So effect 3, you lack career mobility. You desire through, though you do have financial stability. So you get the advancement on the finance side, but you're kind of stuck. Maybe things get lackluster or sad. And then your severity, it's actually pretty low. You're being paid well, but your sense of fulfillment will diminish. Like it's hard to show up in that space sometimes. And then probability is low to moderate. This isn't as likely, but still worth being aware of, especially if you're in an unhealthy organization that traps people in lanes. A lot of companies will put people on tracks, and if you get on the wrong track, you can get really stuck, or you have to move laterally or down to get to a different track and push up. I've done a lot of track hopping. I'll probably write a book on it at some point because it's a nightmare, and there's not really a good roadmap for how to do it. Cute baby sounds. All right. So let's go through some assumptions coming out of this. Oh, wow, we're almost at the end. So assumptions. Across all these failure modes, there was an assumption that not only would the promotion come from launching the product, but also that you would be developing along the way. By challenging this assumption, we discovered the different career limitations that could exist by staying in the current role, right? That's what we're trying to uncover through this failure modes effects analysis on our career, is what are these other factors we're not seeing under the surface. The second piece, assumptions. I know that was the assumption. Cool. My writing's hard to follow a couple months later. Okay. Assumptions, like Murphy, lurk in the shadows. They're often unspoken, unnoticed, and unintrusive. Then, when you least expect it, they can ruin your day. Managing them is difficult because it's impossible to control the future. However, we can choose to identify various risks and their potential impacts and plot a proactive course of action. So don't let your assumptions sink your career. Test everything, hold on to what's true. Life will make decisions for you if you remain complicit in your career journey. So get to work on your career FMEA and let me know how it turns out. I'd be happy to review your work. So you could comment on this video. You could find our blog and comment there, but I check the video more often. And as always, keep changing the world. Well, friends, I got 2 more blogs that are written that I'm going to turn into this podcast video format. So if there's things you'd like to see me shift and how I edit it or how I share these, let me know. It's impossible for me to have like ideal eye contact because I have to read right here. But overall, and I'm dropping ums everywhere, it's just nice to kind of share learnings from my career with you all, as hopefully you can avoid pitfalls I've been trapped in. I've been burned by actually a lot of these assumptions over the years. And I think one of my favorite images that I've talked through with a friend, this is your like closing extra reflection from Joe, is the frog in a pot, right? So if you don't know, like I actually don't know if this is true, but if you put a frog in a pot and it's like normal water temperature, right? Ambient room temperature. You turn the heat on, the frog will stay in the pot. As the water starts to increase in temperature and eventually boil, the frog doesn't notice the gradient or shift in temperature. I don't know, maybe it's like a cold-blooded thing. Maybe this is all not true. I'm an expert on frogs. But I in the illustration, the frog stays in the pot, is cooked alive and dies, right? So a lot of times in our careers, if we don't have the visibility to see what's happening, or if we don't have a tool like an FMEA, we can become a frog in the pot. We stay in a track. We continue to do what we're told, or we think we're kind of an active agent, but we're over trusting people and processes. And eventually we turn around 2 years later, 5 years later, we're like, whoa, we got cooked. We got burned on something. And then you enter some kind of crisis mode where your assumptions didn't pan out and you're trying to figure out how to jump or shift. And I've done a lot of that. As you get more mature in your career and you start to see how this stuff works, because I'm about a decade in, there are times where you have to stay in something that's suboptimal, right? You can't get every single layer perfectly optimized. So like one of my challenges is I'm financially tied to J&J and Japan. I'm trying to transition to a new role in J&J in Japan. There's certain aspects of the financial agreements that are challenging for our family. I can't just jump to another company and stay in Japan based on different benefits we've received. Those are all incentives to keep or retain my talent, which are great things, and I'm thankful for that. But there is also a little bit of a frog in a pot dynamic. And what I think happens as you get older is you become a frog in a pot that's consenting to the process or aware of it. And you recognize that either external things need to shift to turn the temperature down in the pot, or eventually there will be a jump point and you see it, but you're choosing to stay. Because you don't want to also be too impatient along these things. You don't want to be too rash, but you have to work with eyes open because you can't always trust the people in the process around you. Even if the work has a great culture and you have great people there. One of my bosses used to say, see, these are all the rambles. One of my bosses used to say, like, J&J, or, J&J doesn't have a soul, but the people have a soul. J&J has creative values that guide the business practices, but at the bottom line, it has to work. Decisions are made, layoffs can still happen, like bad things happen, even with well-intended good people in the mix, right? And you have to kind of have eyes open to everything. So hopefully that's an encouragement. Keep changing the world. You can sip on that. I got 2 more of these coming in the nearest future, and then I'll start writing again and recording more. And let me know what I should do different in the future to make this more valuable for you.